Well, good evening, everyone. Let's make a start. Thank you. I'm Patrick Hall, the Mayor of the City of Canning. Thank you for joining us at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, the 17th of June 2025, and I welcome one and all to the City's Ordinary Council meeting for this evening and declare the meeting officially open. Thank you. We start by acknowledging the Whadjuk people, the traditional custodians of the land, and also pay our respects, of course, to elders both past and present. Can I start by asking everyone here this evening to make sure your mobile phones are turned off or at least on silent for the duration of the meeting. And just a reminder that the meeting is being live streamed via the City's YouTube channel. Council meetings are public meetings and any information you provide shall be recorded and may be made publicly accessible. The council chambers are not a parliament and parliamentary privilege does not apply. Elected members and staff risk being held personally liable if their comments are found to be defamatory or breach any duty of confidentiality. And statements made during council meetings are those solely of the person making them. Nothing expressed at a council meeting can be attributed to the City of Canning unless it is adopted by a resolution of council. Elected members and employees must disclose any financial proximity or partiality interest they may have in an item on the agenda and declare the interest at the commencement of the meeting or at the very latest when the item is about to be discussed. Financial proximity and impartiality interests are to be disclosed in accordance with the Act. Elected members disclosing a financial or proximity interest in particular must not participate in that part of the briefing relating to their interest and must leave the meeting for the duration of the item. The confirmed minutes of a council meeting are the official record of that council meeting. Verbatim minutes are not required. Nevertheless, the City does publish a full recording of each meeting. Recording of council meetings must not be copied, republished or reproduced without the City's express permission. At item 2, as far as attendances, at item 2.1, apologies, there are none this evening. At item 2.2, approved leave of absence. Councillor Tucek was previously granted a leave of absence and remains on leave until the 30th of June 2025. Disclosures of interest. CEO, have we had any disclosures from elected members?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I've received no declarations of interest for tonight's meeting.
Thank you. We shall move on then to announcements by the presiding member without discussion. I wanted to just take pause for a moment just to welcome Candice de Castro, who joins us this evening. I'd like to welcome her officially to the City of Canning. She joins us this evening as our new Manager of Strategy and Organisational Excellence. Candice joins us from the City of Stirling. We'll be working closely with Council to guide strategy along with other responsibilities. Thank you, Candice, for joining us. Nice to see you here this evening. Reports to delegates at item 5. Does any elected member wish to make a table of delegates report this evening? That would be a no, thank you. Question times for public. At item 6.1, responses to previous questions taken on notice. There are none this evening. At item 6.2, questions from the public. I'm going to open public question time now, the time being 6:03 p.m. I do have one question here. It's from Mr. Derek Roper of River Road in Cannington. It's relating to traffic management in River Road and Woodlow Street and Krispy Kreme zoning conditions. The time set aside for public question time is 15 minutes. I'll extend it if absolutely necessary. If an answer can't be provided at tonight's meeting, the question will be taken on notice and an answer will be provided. In accordance with policy AD02, members of the public who have registered the questions will obviously go first, and that will be Mr. Roper. Mr. Roper, did you want to... Sorry, it is Mr. Roper, isn't it? Would you like to come forward and just introduce yourself to the council? The microphone's been turned on remotely for you. And just for the purpose of tonight, obviously, it's not a deputation, just asking a few questions. If you've got questions, we'll do our best to answer them. If we can't, we'll get you a response in writing.
Much appreciated, Lord Mayor. Thank you, councillors, for the opportunity to be able to speak tonight. I've been a long-term resident of the City of Canning for the past 55 years, so I think I have a fairly good interest of the City of Canning and the surrounding areas. In particular, where I'm concerned about is some 2 to 3 years ago with the rezoning discussions that were put up for to allow Krispy Kremes to conduct their business. One of those conditions was for the owners of the land to continue the access path along the front of the commercial properties along Albany Highway. Here we are 2 to 3 years later, and that still has been complied with. My question is, when is that likely to happen? One thing, because as a consequence of that, there's been an ongoing issue which the residents of River Road have with compliance from the owner of Action Motors with the car parking, which is contravening council bylaws. We've brought that to the attention of the council on a number of occasions over the past months, and it still has not been replied to.
Okay, I'll see. Director Bright, are you able to provide an answer? And before you do, look, Mr. Roper, just in response to what you've just said, don't forget either, if you haven't already done so, you're completely entitled to email me personally or speak to members of the council, those that are actually representatives of your own area there. So always reach out to those people in the first step.
This has been a discussion that's been ongoing with the local councillors. Councillor Bain has been aware of it. Staff members of the traffic manager within the council have been aware of it too. So we're just trying to find a resolution.
Yep,
no problem at all. Director Bright, are you able to provide a response this evening?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think, Mr. Roper, I sent you an email about midway this afternoon. So in that email, I did point out that the owner of the land is currently going through a road closure process to accommodate a further development of the site, and that development will include an access easement over the land that will be held, or the City of Canning would be a party to that easement. So that road closure process is around 2 or 3 weeks out from being advertised to the local community, and then you'll obviously get an opportunity to comment on that. So it's difficult for me to say when the developer will develop, but certainly we've had conversations with that landowner. We've seen some draft plans, early plans, concept plans, but they do accommodate that particular access leg, and we are looking forward to hopefully receiving a development application sometime by the end of this year.
Were the conditions in relation to the application for development approval, was that conditional on that? Have the conditions been met that were approved by council?
Through Mr. Mayor, yeah, the condition in relation to that easement has been met. It wasn't a requirement that the landowner would cease the Action Motors or the vehicle sales yard use. It was to ensure that the city had secured that arrangement for the future when that development ceased. But certainly it wasn't tied to the occupancy of Krispy Kreme itself.
I'll leave Deputy Mayor Bain, Mark, you're already obviously over this to offline pursue timeline. Thank you for asking your questions publicly this evening and raising it as an issue. I wasn't aware of it, and I'm sure other councillors weren't. But if you're talking to Deputy Mayor Bain, I know he'll be providing good service to you, and
no, I appreciate
we'll get a
Mark
timeline.
has been very, very supportive of our arguments and discussions, so I cannot fault him in that respect.
Well, don't talk him up too much. You want to pay rise. Be after my job next. Yeah. Look, thank you very much. Is that all you wanted to ask this evening, Mr.
The second
Roper?
issue, we've had discussions with council regarding traffic flow around the area of River Road, Mariam Up Street, Woodlow Street. We've had a number of near misses reported, and the council have come back and said the demographics, the number crunching as to traffic movement has indicated there hasn't been a significant increase of traffic flow around that area. However, it doesn't take into account the demographic age of the residents of that area. And I'm one of the younger people in that area, and I'm approaching 70. We've talked about doing different methods of reducing speed around there, speed humps and that. There's been no real significant change, and I'm fearful that there's only going to be significant movement in management of
Understood.
traffic if there's going to be
Yep.
a fatality
point well
or
made.
something like that.
Yep, no problem at all. We'll deal with it here. We'll get an answer for you, and Deputy Mayor will continue to speak to you about it. Thanks for coming
appreciated.
along this evening.
Thank you. That's all I had to say, and I appreciate the time to come.
No problem at all. Thanks,
you.
Mr. Roper. Thank you. Any further questions from the gallery before we move on? I'll therefore close public question time now, the time being 9 minutes past 6 p.m. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Roper. Confirmation of minutes at item 7, the ordinary council meeting back on the 20th of May 2025. The officer's recommendation appears on screen. It also appears on page 2 of tonight's agenda. Can I have a mover, please, for the confirmation of minutes? That would be Councillor Shen Second will be the mover. Seconder, please. Thank you. Councillor Rodriguez, all in favour. Thank you, Governance. We'll put that to the vote.
The motion to confirm minutes has been carried unanimously with all 9 in favour.
Thank you, Governance. We move to item 8, which is the receiving of petitions, presentations and deputations. We do actually have a petition this evening, that is PET 003 of 25. The title of the petition is Speed Calming Measures on Gerard Street in East Cannington. The recommendation is on screen. I wanted to thank the residents for actually bringing that matter to the attention of council. The petition has been received and the recommendation is that it be received and referred to the CEO for action. Can I have a mover, please, for the recommendation? That would be Councillor Parkinson. Thank you. A seconder? Councillor Page. Thank you. Councillor Parkinson, I think we'll just put the item to the vote. Thank you. Thank you, Governors.
The motion for petition 003-25 has been carried with 8 in favour, with Councillor Hearn voting against the motion.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillors. Councillor Hearn, you saw the word speed bumps and that triggered you. Thank you. Item 2, presentations. There are none at item 2 this evening. Thank you. Deputations. We do actually have a deputation this evening. It's from Miss Evelyn Wee of Waterford in WA regarding a report. She wants to report parking issues on Pattie Street in Cannington. Miss Wee, would you like to come forward for us, please? And just perhaps introduce yourself to the council. The microphone has already been turned on. You've got a concern regarding parking at Pattie Street in Cannington, which is in our city centre there. You have up to 10 minutes. I don't think, from what I've heard, it'll take you that long, but please make your deputation. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to address the meeting. My name is Evelyn. I represent 8 owners of a complex on 15 Pattie Street. We've had this problem of illegal parking for some time, and at every AGM, this issue comes up. But recently, it's been really very bad. It's not us that's just experiencing the illegal parking problems. It's all the complexes, because the strata manager manages several of the complexes, and she says that's the same problem. What is happening is that in the past, it was fine. We have only 19 car parks. 9 of them are for the allocated tenants, 7 for their customers and clients, and one for the disabled parking. So it's not a lot. But in the past, people used to park on the fringe of Carousel Shopping Centre, and then they cross over the road, Cecil Street, and they come over. But as you know now, it's almost impossible to get parking even in the Carousel Shopping Centre. So that's one part of it. And the problem has been compounded by the fact that the 2 buildings, I think the council has what's the word for it, has changed the plot ratio around that area, and so buildings can come up. So there are 2 huge buildings there. It was fine because they couldn't sell the buildings, so the apartments, so it was fine for some time. But now all the apartments are full. And I think that there must be insufficient parking, I think, because some of the illegal parking that's parked in our complex, they park the whole day. So it's not like, someone has come to do shopping or to do something, but it's the whole day there, so it's very difficult. So I think there has been an overflow of people coming to Carousel, not finding a car park, or even in the blocks adjacent to us. And I also understand that there's going to be a kindergarten that's going to be open soon or has already been open, and that's going to compound the problem. So this is a problem where tenants, and I should be speaking just for my complex, but I think other people are having the same problem. So tenants are not able to use the parking allocated to them. And worse, more than that, they lose customers because the customers come in and they don't find parking. In the past, they would just turn around and go straight into Carousel. That too is a problem. And so business has been bad, and it's a bit difficult these days to find tenants because business is not very good. So at the last AGM that we had, the strata manager mentioned that some councils have in their bylaws a clause that provides a service whereby if we find someone parking illegally, we can call the council and a ranger will come and put a fine there. So I was tasked anyway to write a letter, which I did to your executive office, and with all the signed signatures, requesting that the council look at this issue of, I don't know, I can't express myself, something to do with the bylaws or adding a clause in the bylaws, because many councils have this clause in their bylaws, and the people around can just call them and the rangers will come and put a fine on them. So someone said, it would be a drain on your manpower. But then again, someone else said that possibly this will happen in the beginning, and after a while, when they know they're going to be slapped with a fine, the incidence of illegal parking will be less. But so someone from the executive office called me and requested that I bring this problem up to the council, and that's why I'm here this evening to talk about it. We just want the council to know this is a problem. I mean, it's aggravated by the fact that there's so many people now around the place, and whether you could help in adding a clause in your bylaws so that we can avail of the service of your rangers for a while, at least until the issue is resolved. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Wee. It's an issue that Council has been trying to address for a number of years. We understand that there are going to be issues in there. I think they'll be somewhat exacerbated with the fact that we've just reopened the largest train station on the Armidale line at Cannington, and I think that will put further pressure around the area, because I expect that to be incredibly busy. The issue of parking on private property is actually a problem. You would know from some years back there was wheel clamping in the area. State government outlawed that, but the wheel clamping did at least put the fear of God into people who are actually parking and overstaying on private property. I might just throw to the CEO in relation to the question around bylaws, or Director Fisher, are you able to make a comment in relation to what you've heard this evening?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I just want to point out that you can ring the city at any time. Obviously, our number is 1300 422 664. You can ring that number 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So obviously, and then we we actively patrol and obviously enforce our parking local law. Yeah, and I suppose, and I also know the team have been active in the Canning city centre as well. So the team are regularly out there. I think in the city centre the last 12 months, we've had about over 200 complaints made. And obviously the total parking infringements and warnings is over 400 as well. So the team are active in that space. But if you got any further questions, we're happy
Director,
to
I
take
think
those.
the point
No,
of
I
this is
just
that it's
wanted to
actually,
I
Mrs.
just
Wee,
wanted
it's
to
actually
find out-
private property, isn't it? We're
just
talking about
wanted to
parking on private property?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
I
So our
just wanted to
bylaws-
find out whether you would consider extending this ranger service to us, because we've considered many things. We've considered towing, but the conditions are so onerous and it's a very expensive exercise.
I'll just ask my CEO to comment on that. We understand the issue. Have Mr. Mallon here, but the CEO is going to say a word. CEO.
I was only going to simply say, we are talking about parking on private property. There is a requirement. We aren't able to provide parking services under our bylaws. There's some work we would need to do on that. Mr. Mellon would be the right person to have a conversation with. As you've already engaged with the city, it's probably best if we take it offline, and we'll just work through those issues with you and see what we can do. And whether that is something we can provide or not.
Mr. Mellon, would you mind speaking to Miss Wee while she's here? Mrs. Wee, Shane Mellon, the gentleman with the beard there in the centre, is the manager, and he will be able to provide you with some background and some advice that might assist you and the other owners there.
Thank you very much. I'd like to leave by saying something. I've dealt with several councils, my own council, and I tell you that your staff are the most courteous and the most helpful. This council, I'm saying that
That's
because...
wonderful feedback, and I very much appreciate
and
you saying that publicly.
I will get his card and contact him, and I take my leave. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Wee. Councillor Singh, can I help you?
Mr. Mayor, I've got a question related to this topic for Director Fisher.
There's no questioning. We've got a deputation. Oh. Yeah, just quickly, Councillor.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Director Fisher, the Pattie Street got signs parking, no parking on Verge. If a resident calls about someone parked on the Verge and it's illegal parking, what's city's approach? Do we issue a warning or do we issue an infringement straight away? What's the city's preferred approach for such a call?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I think the team are active in that space. So we like to educate first. So that's always the approach. But if that's been happening for a significant amount of time and we've had a significant amount of complaints, we would infringe.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. Applications for leave. Thank you, Mrs. Wee, who has left the room. Applications for leave of absence at item 9. There are none this evening. At item 10, questions by members of which due notice has been given. There are none. At item 11, items brought forward. Similarly, there are none. Item 12, the reports of committee meetings. The recommendation is on page 5 of the agenda and is on screen now. And that is for report 12.1. The title of the report being Audit and Risk Committee, 5 June 2025. Can I have a mover, please, for the item? Deputy Mayor, thank you. And a seconder? Happy to second that from the Chair. Deputy Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I support the committee's decision and the officer's recommendations. Thank you.
As do I. Does anyone wish to speak against the item before we put it to the vote? Thank you. We shall put the item to the vote.
Other recommendations from the Audit and Risk Committee have been carried with all 9 voting in favour.
Thank you. We moved to item 13, which is from the Office of the CEO, Michael Littleton, 13.1 OC006 of 25. It's the annual review of the Register of Delegations for 2025. The item requires an absolute majority of council. It appears on, let me see, page 11 of the agenda and is now on screen. Look, I'd like to move it from the chair myself. I'd call for a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Secon. Councillors, I propose under Section 10 of the Standing Orders to put a procedural motion to adjourn this to the July meeting. Councillor Secon, I'm just looking for a seconder for the procedural motion. Councillor Secon, thank you very much. Councillors, I'll just speak very quickly on the reason for adjourning the matter to July. I had a conversation earlier today with with governance and also with the CEO just in relation to this particular item. It's a very important one for council. I asked questions at the AB. I've got a significant number of other queries that I wish to have clarified before having the confidence to tick off on that item. And also there have been a number of times in the last week, including just recently, where we have had to have some movement, some items being brought up by a number of councillors where the agenda item itself did need to be tweaked. And I'm talking about the table of contents and a few other things that were not quite in alignment. So for that reason, I simply want to actually push it back for 4 weeks. We'll bring it to the ordinary council meeting in July and take the opportunity to actually meet and discuss that. I've had conversations with a number of councillors who also would like further conversations around some of those items on the delegation. That's all. Thank you. We'll put the item to the vote.
The procedural motion to adjourn item OC 00625 has been carried unanimously with all 9 in favour.
Thank you. Councillors, we'll move to the next item, which is OC 007 of 25. The title of the report being CEO Performance and Salary Review Committee Terms of Reference and Presiding / Deputy Presiding Member Elections. The officer's recommendation appears on page 19 and also appears on screen. The recommendation is before you, Council. Can I have a mover, please, for the item? Deputy Mayor, thank you. A seconder? Councillor Parkinson, thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I support the officer's recommendation and the revised terms of reference for the committee. And also happy to nominate yourself as the presiding member should you wish to accept the position. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
I'm happy to accept the nomination as the presiding member. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'll go to Councillor Parkinson in the first instance as a seconder.
Nothing further to add, thanks.
Thank you. I just need a nomination for the deputy presiding member. I'm happy to nominate the Deputy Mayor, Mark Bain, as the deputy presiding member. Obviously, councillors, the members of the committee can be the only ones that are actually nominated for these 2 positions, and the members of the committee are Councillor Kunza, Councillor Shen Sekon, myself, and the Deputy Mayor. Unless anybody else wishes to nominate for the deputy presiding member. Councillor Deputy Mayor, you happy to entertain the nomination?
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. Happy to accept. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to speak either for or against the item before we put it to the vote? Thank you. Councillor Hearn.
I'd like to move an alternative motion that item 2 is voted on and accepted today and that item 1 is deferred until the July meeting. I think the council needs to have a little bit more discussion and debate around the terms of reference.
You would need to then put a procedural motion to actually adjourn that. I'm not certain if
I'm
you're
just
actually
asking to adjourn 1, so does that make it an alternative motion?
You're asking to adjourn the part 1, is that what you're saying?
Yes, so we proceed with the appointments in part 2 today, but we have a little bit more time to discuss and debate the terms of reference.
Governance, can I just ask your advice on that? Are we able to adjourn one of the items? Alternately, what you can do is vote on them separately. You can also do that. That's at your election. I would be happy to entertain that.
That's how you deal with it. You deal with it.
Just hang on just for one moment. Thank you. The advice is, and I accept it, is that we'll deal with it as a complex motion. So you would need to put a procedural motion under section 10 of the standing orders in relation to a 1, but that would only carry, of course, if you have a seconder for your procedural motion. We will then take a vote on whether or not council feels it is necessary to adjourn that to the July council meeting, and then we will deal with item 2 tonight. You happy with that?
Yes, please.
Okay. So Councillor Hearn is seeking to put a procedural motion under the standing orders to actually adjourn part 1 of this item to the July ordinary council meeting. For that motion to be entertained, we would need a seconder from the floor. Is there a seconder to adjourn part 1? Yes, Councillor Kunze.
Sorry, can I just ask where in the standing orders it allows part of a motion to be adjourned? I'm
I
not
think
aware
it's
of this
actually,
happening
yeah, I
before.
think it's going to be one of those cases, Councillor, that it's actually the standing orders are probably silent on whether or not a part of it can be adjourned. So I'm just going to refer to section 10.
See, once you're dealing with a complex motion, then you're dealing with them as an individual motion in themselves. Yeah. So it's just like it's a standalone motion. And then the standing orders prevail over that, over the motion.
Councillors, just give us a moment. Just we haven't come across this before, and I just want to make sure that we're right. So just give me a moment just so I can review it. Yeah, Councillor Kunze, if you've got the standing orders there in front of you, Governance are directing me to 11.2, which allows us to divide motions for the purpose of voting, which I guess for all intents is what's actually happening. And I've allowed that to occur, so we're already looking at dividing, allowing the motion to be dealt with as 2 separate motions for the purpose of voting. And I think, I'm certain my decision on that would be that would be allowable under 11.2 and further supported by section 10, where it talks about the adjourning debate. Well, it's good to see everybody. It is impressive. Well done, everybody. Thank you very much. That's good. I think I have to say, though, it's not a long bow. I think it seems sensible to deal with it in that way. I think sometimes we have to be, whilst we want to adhere to the standing orders, I think that we are the intent of the standing orders, and I'd make a ruling that that's the course of action that we'll take. We'll actually divide it this evening into 2 matters, the first of which we have on the table, and it may not occur if we don't have a seconder, but Councillor Hearn has actually asked for the first part of that motion to be adjourned, and I'll allow it. Yes, Councillor.
And I just wanted to confirm, because I wasn't here at the agenda briefing, that everything relevant to complying with the Act is in part 2 in terms of dealing with it at this council meeting.
I believe that's entirely the case, yes. Everything, they're only simple amendments to bring it up to speed with the recent changes to the legislation.
Then I'm happy to second the motion.
To adjourn it? Part one,
Adjourn part one, yeah,
the procedural?
the procedural.
Thank you. Councillor Hearn, you get to speak on your procedural motion, which is to adjourn it to July. No one else gets to speak on it. There will be no debate. And it's only in relation to, not on the motion itself, but just on your reasoning for actually wanting to adjourn the matter.
I think we have, in item 1, we have the terms of reference, which are largely drawn from a policy which was adopted by council 3 years ago. I think at this time we have a number of elected members who have served on this committee who have some experience we can draw upon to actually review that policy and the associated terms of reference to actually make sure that it is fit for purpose. I feel like, you know, it has been drafted to try and fill some gaps in the Act about the function and procedures of the CEO Review Committee, and I think it's probably at this time that we are being asked to adopt these terms of reference, that we actually draw upon that experience to do a proper review.
So you're wanting it to be adjourned for the purpose of a review of this, of the...
I'd like to have a item scheduled at a SIB to have some open discussion on the terms of reference.
We had
Is that possible?
just for the sake of transparency, we
Yep.
had a discussion today in relation to the item I've just had adjourned, and just trying to find a date for that between now and the next meeting. I think we've got July school holidays in there. CEO, we've got some issues finding a date unless we hold it during the week on a date different to a Tuesday. CEO.
Yeah, if you're looking for a SIB, we won't be able to schedule a SIB until August, so it would need to come to the August OCM.
Which is perfectly fine.
I think that would be preferable in my view. I think this is probably a pretty important piece of documentation.
Fine, thank you. So Councillor Hearn has spoken to the matter. This is just in relation to the procedural motion. It will be deferred, adjourned until August OCM. I don't think that's a change. Councillor Kunze, you're happy with it being adjourned to August? I think originally Councillor Hearn mentioned July. August, fine by you?
Just to clarify with governance, that delaying this further doesn't change the review process that we're about to go through, does it?
No, I don't believe it does, because July 1st is the date on which we have to have adopted the second part of it. Mr. Yildiz?
Yes, that's correct. We'll be able to still undertake the review in accordance with what's currently drafted, and then if that is adopted in time for the committee before then that'll apply from that process onwards.
Thank you. Councillor Kunze, you're okay then with that? Thank you. Councillor Kunze has nodded in the affirmative. Councillors, we'll put this to the vote. At the moment, the only vote we are taking is in relation to the procedural motion to adjourn part 1 of the recommendation to the August 2025 Ordinary Council meeting. Thank you, Governance. We're just waiting for one more.
The procedural motion to adjourn part 1 to OC 00725 has been carried with all 9 in voting in favour.
Thank you, councillors. Part 1 will be adjourned as was the resolution of council. We move then to part 2 of the item. We have a mover for it. We also have a seconder for it. The mover was the Deputy Mayor, the seconder was Councillor Parkinson. Deputy Mayor, I'm not sure you actually had the opportunity to speak on the item. You did, Councillor Parkinson. Councillors, anyone wish to speak against part 2 before I put it to the vote? Let's put that part of the item to the vote. Thank you. Councillor Singh?
I raised my hand to speak.
I didn't see you, sorry.
That's okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not against the motion, not in favor of the motion. Just would like to point out that we divided this motion into 2 parts. Once the motion was put, as you just explained, it was seconded. Section 11.2 doesn't allow us to divide a substantive motion once it's already put. It does allow the presiding member to individually divide or put motions together, but before they are substantive motions, before they are put. Just putting it out there. Not that I have a problem with it, but
Thank you
it's
for
not.
putting it out there. It's also under the standing orders, the presiding member has a certain flexibility to make rulings where sometimes the standing orders aren't completely clear and may be in fact silent on an issue, and a determination needs to be made to, and it's not moving hell or earth. So I take your point, thank you, but we'll carry on if you don't mind, thank you. We'll put the item to the vote, thank you.
Part 2 to motion OC 00725 has been carried with all 9 voting in favour.
Thank you, Governance. We move to 13.2. Ms Lorraine Driscoll, the Director of Corporate and Commercial, is the responsible officer for this report. It's CC 011 of 25. The title of the report being Monthly Financial Report for the month of April 2025. The officer's recommendation is on screen. It also appears on page 29. Do I have a mover, please? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Seconder. Councillor Singh, thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I support the officer's recommendation. I do have a question though, if I may.
Of course. Yeah, go ahead.
Through you to CEO Littleton. CEO, can you confirm the City will be providing more details regarding staff purchase reimbursements in the warrant listings going forward?
CEO. Ms Driscoll.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I can confirm that at next month's report will contain more detailed information in regard to staff reimbursements.
For the sake of the record and for those listening at home, that's in reference to the warrant listing, which is actually produced as part of the monthly financial report. The Deputy Mayor has raised the issue of staff reimbursements from the point of view that there probably would be more transparency around having more detail attached to those, and the City has agreed to that publicly this evening. We thank you, Deputy Mayor, and also Director Driscoll. Councillor Singh, have you got anything to add in relation to the item?
Nothing to add, Mr Mayor. I support the officer recommendation.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to ask a question or speak against the item before we put it to the vote? Thank you. Let's put it to the vote.
Motion CC 011-25 has been carried with all 9 in favour.
Thank you, Ms Cornish. At item 13.3, reports from the Directorate of Mr Graham Bride, the Director of Planning and Development. There are none. At item 13.4, reports from the Directorate of Mr Warren Bowe, the Director of Infrastructure and Environment. Similarly, there are none. At item 13.5, the Directorate of Mr Gary Fisher, the Director of Customer and Community. We have CO 003 of 25. The report title being Award of Tender RFT 14/2025, Cleaning Services at Cannington and Riverton Leisureplexes. The officer's recommendation is on screen. Thank you, Governance. It also appears on page 70 of tonight's agenda. Do I have a mover, please, for that item? Councillor Secon, thank you. A seconder would be Councillor Page. Councillor Secon.
I agree with the officer's recommendation and I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Councillor Page.
I agree with the officer's recommendation. Nothing further to add.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Hearn.
Is it possible just to ask a question, please?
Of course you can. Yep.
So, Director Fisher, please, through you, Mr Mayor. How long was this cleaning contract out of service, and was Brightmark the current month-by-month incumbent?
Mr Fisher.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, we answered that question in the agenda briefing that they were the contractor that had the cleaning contract previously. And what was the second part of your question? Sorry.
It was just, is Brightmark the current incumbent?
Yes.
It is. Okay. Thanks.
Was that all?
Thank you.
Is it? Yeah.
Councillor Bain.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I support the officer's recommendation. And just adding on to what Councillor Hearn put forward, I think going forward it'd be a good idea to clearly state within the officer's report whether an existing tenderer is the current contractor or if they have been employed by the city in the past. That would be very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion, and perhaps the CEO might like to think about that. No problem at all. I see that as an addition and adding value to the report. Thank you. Councillors, in relation to that matter, if no one wishes to speak against it, I'll put it to the vote.
Motion CO 00325 has been carried with all 9 in favour.
Thank you. We move to CO 004 of 25, the report title being the review of impounded companion animal management pro-life policy AD01 and the use of monitoring technology policy CS03. The officer's recommendation is on screen. It also appears on page 75. Can I have a mover, please, for those two items? Councillor Page, thank you. Do I have a seconder? I'm happy to... Councillor Singh, thank you, Councillor Singh. Councillor Page.
I support the officer's recommendation. Nothing further to add.
Councillor Singh.
I support the officer recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. As do I. I'm satisfied to ask some questions, particularly in relation to the pro-life policy for companion animals, and I'm satisfied with the answers provided and the review that's been undertaken. Thank you to staff for doing that body of work for us. Does anyone else wish to speak on the item before we put it to the vote? Thank you. Let's put the item on the vote.
Motion CO 00425 has been carried with all 9 voting in favour.
Thank you. We move to item C0005 of 25, the title of the report being Local Emergency Management Arrangements. The officer's recommendation is that Council endorses a revised City of Canning Local Emergency Management Arrangements 2005 and supporting documents as per attachment 1 to 4 pursuant to section 42.1 of the Emergency Management Act 2005, and that recommendation appears on screen and also on page 86 of the agenda. May I have a mover, please, for that item? Mover. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. A seconder. Councillor Second, thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I support the officer's recommendation for this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Second, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I too support the officer's recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against the item before we put it to the vote? Thank you. Governors, can we put the item to the vote?
Motion CO 00525 has been carried with all 9 voting in favour.
Thank you. Item 14 on tonight's agenda is motions which previous notice has been given. There are none. Urgent business at item 15. Similarly, there is none. Confidential matters. We do actually have a number of confidential matters tonight, folks. So for those of you engrossed in the proceedings sitting in the public gallery, I'm sorry, but we'll have to ask you to leave. Before I do, can I have a mover and a seconder that confidential items be dealt with behind closed doors in accordance with section 5.23, subsection 2 of the Local Government Act 1995. Can I have a mover, please?
Sorry, before you move, can I just ask a question on this?
Can.
Sorry, Mr Mayor. With respect to the Herald Avenue land optimisation item, I recognise that some attachments might need to be confidential, but why is the entirety of the report being held in confidentiality?
CEO.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, the reality is that we are, and the recommendation proposes a range of issues or a range of actions that will be the subject of a business case. On that basis, as we step into the process, if Council was to agree with the way forward, we were seeking to maintain confidentiality of the matter. We do believe it will be a business transaction and will require those sorts of provisions to inform the decision going forward.
Thank you. Councillor Rodriguez, I had you as the mover. Councillor Secon, I had you as the seconder. Councillor Rodriguez, anything you wish to add before we put the item to the vote? Thank you.
Nothing to add, Mr.
Thank
Mayor.
you. Councillor Secon?
Nothing to add, thank
Does
you.
anyone wish to speak against the item before we put it to the vote? Thank you. Let's put the matter of moving to confidentiality to the vote. Thank you. Just one more we're looking for, I think. Councillors, you're just missing one vote there. Just give it another go. Has everybody tried to vote again? We're still missing one. We've got 8 votes cast. We'll just try again. Governance has just reset. Please, there we go. We picked it up. Probably me.
The motion to go behind closed doors has been carried with 8 in favour, with Councillor Kunze voting against the motion.
Thank you. Thank you, Governance. Can I just please confirm that we are no longer live streaming? Thank you. Thank you for those joining us remotely. We are now coming out of confidential cover. The time now is 7:34 p.m. In relation to the confidential matters covered by this council, I'm just going to read the decisions of council in relation to those. The first item was OC 008 of 25, the title of the report being Herald Avenue Land Optimisation, Age-Friendly Concept. The officer's recommendation was that council adopt the recommendation as outlined in paragraph 38 of this confidential report, subject to modifying part 1 by adding the words in principle after the word endorse. That matter was put to council and was endorsed, 7 in favour and 2 against, I believe, and the 2 against were Councillor Kunza and Councillor Hearn. The second matter was confidential item IE 010 of 25, the title being Request for Proposal RFP 03/2025, Provision of Waste Management Services. The recommendation was that Council authorises the Chief Executive Officer to undertake the actions outlined in paragraph 51 of this report. That matter was endorsed by Council and adopted unanimously, I believe, 9 in favour. Thank you, councillors, for that. They were the final 2 items on tonight's agenda, and that being the case, at item 17 on this evening's agenda, which is closure, there being no further business, I now declare the meeting closed, the time being 7:36 p.m, and I'd like to thank everyone, including council and staff, for their attendance. Thank you.